What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I was going to upload one of my regular Cemetery Explorers today, and I decided against it. I decided to put this video out instead. It comes from Lisa, sent this to me, emailed me the link to this article I found. It is insane. As I read this thing, I was in utter disbelief of what was going on. But you know, unfortunately, in the world, this kind of stuff, happens, and it goes on in the world. In Colorado, there was a funeral home where they found 189 human remains, bodies, etc., that were in this old, decrepit, funeral home. I guess it had already closed or something, and they had found bodies inside. My goodness, it's sad because when we lose a loved one, we entrust the death care workers, the funeral homes, we entrust them, with our loved ones' remains, that they're going to prepare them and do the right thing with them and do the right thing by the families that come to them for help and service. Let me read this article. Like I said, shout out to Lisa for this one. This is a humdinger, but let's get into it. The headline is, remains of at least 189 people removed from Colorado funeral home, up from 115, officials say. All right, the remains of at least 189 people have been removed from a Colorado funeral home, up from an initial estimate of 115 when the decaying and improperly stored bodies were discovered 2 weeks ago, officials said on Tuesday. The remains were found by authorities responding to a report of an abhorrent smell inside a decrepit building at the Return to Nature funeral home in the small town of Penrose, about 100 miles south of Denver. All the remains were removed from the site as of October 13th, but officials said the numbers could change again as the identification process continues. The updated count comes as families who did business with the funeral home grow increasingly concerned about what happened to their deceased loved ones. Local officials said they will begin notifying family members in the coming days as the remains are identified. They could have like a set of remains or sets of remains that they think is one person, and then they can identify it as another person, it sounds like. There is no timeline to complete the work, which began last week with the help from an FBI team that gets deployed to mass casualty events like airline crashes. Fremont County Coroner Randy Keller said he wanted to provide accurate information to families to prevent further victimization as they continue to grieve. Officials have not disclosed further details of what was found inside the funeral home, but Fremont Sheriff Alan Cooper described the scene as horrific. Authorities entered the funeral home's neglected building with a search warrant on October 4th and found the decomposing bodies. Neighbors said they had been noticing a smell for days. And it was a known funeral home, and there was a smell. You kind of don't have to be a rocket scientist, to figure out what that is, The owners of the Return to Nature funeral home had missed tax payments in recent months and were evicted from one of their properties and were sued for unpaid bills by a crematory that quit doing business with them almost a year ago, according to public records and interviews with people who worked with them. A day after the odor was reported, the director of the State Office of Funeral Home and Crematory Registration spoke on the phone with owner John Halford. He tried to conceal the improper storage of corpses in Penrose, acknowledged having a quote-unquote problem at the site, and claimed he practiced taxidermy there, according to an order from state officials dated October 5th. Attempts to reach Halford, his wife Carrie, and Return to Nature have been unsuccessful. Numerous text messages to the funeral home seeking comment have gone unanswered. No one answered the business phone or returned a voice message left on Tuesday. In the days after the discovery, law enforcement officials said the owners were cooperating as investigators sought to determine any criminal wrongdoing. The company, which offered cremations and green burials without embalming fluids, kept doing business as its financial and legal problems mounted. Green burials are legal in Colorado, but anybody not buried within 24 hours must be properly refrigerated. As of last week, more than 120 families worried their relatives could be among the remains had contacted law enforcement about the case. It could take weeks to identify the remains found and could require taking fingerprints, finding medical or dental records, and DNA testing. Authorities found the bodies inside a 2,500 square foot building with the appearance and dimensions of a standard one-story home. Colorado has some of the weakest oversight of funeral homes in the nation, with no routine inspections or qualification requirements for funeral home operators. Wow. There is no indication state regulators visited the site or contacted Halford until more than 10 months after the Penrose Funeral Home's registration expired. State lawmakers gave regulators the authority to inspect funeral homes without the owner's consent last year, but no additional money was provided for increased inspections. Wow, guys. Oh man. That is heartbreaking. That is insane. I shared this article in a private Facebook group called After Death. And, the response and, of people commenting on it was, overwhelming. I don't know what to say about this, having recently lost my father in the last couple of years, he was cremated and everything. I am just, I feel that I'm fortunate to, that we dealt with reputable people. But some of these families, they just weren't as fortunate, and it's really sad. My heart goes out to them. It hurts my heart to see these things, and hear these things. But like I said, it happens, in the world. This stuff goes on. There's unscrupulous people in the death care business. Unfortunately, there are some reputable businesses, but this kind of stuff gives the good people a bad name. And it's unfortunate that people, as a result of this, will probably look at the death care business in a different light because of some other, what are we going to call them, knuckleheads that were just in business for themselves and didn't, care about any of the families that they were dealing with. I had read also another article regarding this. I found like 2 or 3 online. Like I said, Lisa sent me this, so thank you, Lisa, for doing that, bringing this to my attention. But I found a couple of other articles online that were talking about things like they were looking into this funeral home. They were looking into the fact that maybe they were selling body parts. I had heard, I read an article where they were mentioning that, which that blows me away. And we're not just talking about the organs. Supposedly, people are out there selling arms and legs and stuff. And I don't even know what for. That's just beyond my comprehension. That's just horrible. But there was like some allegations that they might have been selling body parts at this place too. Another article I had read, they were talking with one of the family members that were, that had been taken for a ride by this funeral home. And they said, was one lady I think had said when she received her father's ashes back, everything seemed like super, super heavy. And she opened it up, and I guess ashes kind of resemble powdered cement. I guess when cement is in a powder form, I guess the ash is kind of, sort of, from what I understand, or read, kind of resembles ashes. But they felt really heavy, she said. So she mixed them with water, a little bit of ashes with supposed ashes with water, and found out that it was cement that was in her father's urn, or storage box. I mean, God, that's just horrible. I don't know what to say. I mean, that article didn't talk about the body parts business or the other customer that had been taken for a ride with their father's remains. But I'd found, like I said, several articles on this. And there was, it was pretty much the same story, but then there was the body parts one. And then the other article I'd read, there was a lady that claimed that her father's ashes were actually cement. I don't know what to say, guys. This breaks my heart. And like I said, my sister and I are very fortunate that when we made arrangements for our dad, we dealt with reputable people. So always, 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 before you trust your loved one's remains with anybody, always look into the business you're dealing with. See if there's any complaints about them or whatever, Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Throw it out in the comment box below how you guys feel about this. I think I know how you guys feel about this, but sound off in the comments box below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will come at you with another video, and I promise the next upload will be a Cemetery Explorer. But like I said, this pressing news that I just found out about had to be addressed. All right, guys, thank you all so much, and I'll talk to you later.